I'm letting Miss Jeannie have a morning off. She'll be here tomorrow. We just traded. She had a very long weekend and needed a little bit of time to kind of catch up and get some sleep. So I am excited to see you all on a Monday morning. I don't hate Mondays like a lot of people do. I know a lot of people hate Monday. I don't really hate Monday. It's a chance to start all over again. Well, pretty much every day is a chance to start all over again. But Monday gives you a whole week of amazing promise. Today, I'm reading a very silly book. And it's kind of for my husband. The book is called Snoring of Beauty. Look at that dragon. Look at her nails. Dang. And it is by Bruce Hale and illustrated by Howard Fine. Look at that fancy frog. But there's lots of fairies in this. So if you like fairies, you can see all the fairies that they've drawn. They're silly looking little fairies, aren't they? And they have very silly names. So there's Lexus, Bebo, Umpudine, or Umpudine. Could be either. I don't know this fairy. Hexus, Nostraline, Tintinitis, Phlebitis, and Fred. Fred? Ever heard of a fairy named Fred? Alrighty. Here we go. Long ago, about 622 years, last Friday at 7 p.m. Fairy Standard Time, to be exact, the childless King Gluteus and his wife, Queen Esophagus, got lucky at last. A baby girl, Queen Esophagus cried. I'll eat to that, said King Gluteus. For the rest of us, peasants and milkmaids and frogs, it was business as usual. Yada yada, hippity hop. See? Woohoo! Everybody looks so happy and joyful. Look at the castle. Oh, and look at the fairies. The king and queen threw a big wingding for their daughter's christening. They invited every fairy from far and wide. But wouldn't you just know it? They left one out. This really cranky fairy named Bebo, who was off hosting a garlic festival. On christening day, the baby girl was named Princess Drachmina Lofresca Malvolio Margarine. Poor little tadpole. She smiled and cooed anyway. The dining hall bulged with lords and ladies, and up at the main table with the king and queen sat 7 of the funkiest fairies you've ever seen. Hexus and Plexus, Nostraline and Umpidine, Phlebitis and Tintinitis, and Fred, who wasn't really a fairy, but no one had the heart to tell him. Oh, Fred must have been a really sweet guy. Oh, there's all the fairies. All the fairies up at the table. Fred. Just as they began a round of rude fairy songs, the king clapped his hands. Time to bless the baby. Eh? Said Tintinitis, who was half deaf. Slime with fresh and gravy? No thanks. I'll be back in a twinkle. And she waddled off. One by one, fairies shuffled past to bless Princess Drachmina La Fresca Malvolio Margarine, Marge for short. She will be the most beauteous maiden in the land, said Hexus. She'll be the wittiest, said Plexus. And on and on. Best dancer, blah, blah, blah. Best singer, blah, blah, blah. Nicest penmanship, blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, hippity hop. Until. See all the fairies. All the fairies giving their blessings. Even Fred was back there, waiting his turn. Bam! The door blew open. There stood Biba the fairy. She looked like trouble, and she smelled like garlic. So sorry I'm late, she snarled sweetly. The carrier pigeon must have eaten my invitation. She stuck her big bazoo into the crib and barked, "When this babe turns 16, she will be run over by a pie wagon and die." Tinnitus returned just at that moment. "Eh? What's that?" she said. "She'll turn into a dragon and fly." "Die!" snapped Bebo. "Spy!" said Tinnitus. "Die!" shouted the garlicky one. "Oh, my!" said Tinnitus. With a grumble and a growl, Bebo blasted off. That doesn't look good at all. Oh, look. Tinnitus turned to King Gluteus and Queen Esophagus. She could not undo Bebo's gift, but she could bamboozle it. "My blessing is that, instead of turning into a dead dragon," But Bebo said, the king began, "Your daughter will become a sleeping dragon," Tinnitus continued. "And one day she'll be awakened by, a prince," said the queen hopefully. "A quince," said the fairy. "Good idea!" And poof, she was gone. A quince is a fruit. Oh dear. Oh dear. This is what happens when you don't wear your hearing aids. First thing the next day, King Gluteus banned all pie wagons from the kingdom. In fact, he banned all pies, even mud pies. "That should stop the curse," said the king. "Let them eat cake," sang Queen Esophagus. There go all the pie wagons out of the kingdom. But look at the princess growing up. Years hopped along like a toad with arthritis. Princess Marge blossomed and grew. And as she grew, she became kind and beautiful, sweet and clever. As the fairies promised, Marge could sing like a nightingale, dance like sunlight on the water, sew a wedding dress blindfolded, make a chocolate cake from dirt and rocks, build a house in a single day, yada, yada, hippity hop. Look at her. Oh. The fairies forgot just one thing. She was too perfect. Nobody wanted to play with a girl who could do everything twice as well as they could. Princess Marge was lonely. The day the princess turned 16, an old woman in a wagon rolled up to the castle. "Let me in," she pleaded. "I bring a yummy, nummy treat for the princess." The young guard spied a wagon load of pastries round as wheels. The sweet smell made his belly rumble. Yummy, nummy indeed. After so many years, he didn't know a pie from a pollywog. The guard opened the gates. The wagon trundled inside. At that very moment, what are the odds, I ask you? Marge was crossing the road to the cake shop. The street was steep. The wagon wobbled, and before you knew it, the pie wagon swerved and crunched over her foot. "Yow!" cried Miss Princess Marge. And, just as Tintinitis foretold, alablam! Marge turned into a dragon, and alabeep! She fell deeply asleep. Now, legend says that the whole castle conked out too. Yeah, right. Here's what actually happened. The sleeping dragon princess began to snore. And besides being the fanciest dancer and best cake baker in the kingdom, Princess Marge was, naturally, the loudest snoring dragon. Did everyone rush to congratulate Marge on her perfect snore? They did not. No one comforted her enchanted sleep. The dragon princess dreamed only lonely dreams. Oh, look at her. Days passed. No one could sleep with the racket and the ruckus. Those with carriages visited far off kingdoms. Those without wore earplugs and shouted. The king did what kings always do. He made a proclamation. So there's all the people that are left. And they are looking at the proclamation where it says, "King Gluteus wants you to break the curse and awaken his sleeping daughter with a quince. Use of quince to be determined by applicant. Reward: half the kingdom, the princess's hand in marriage, and a set of elf-made garden furniture. Employees of the castle not eligible. If the princess awakens but remains a dragon, tough luck. You have to marry her anyway. Offer not valid in the kingdoms of Smorg, Spiffle, and Gung. Void where prohibited." Men came to test their luck. With brass and bluster and bright ideas, they tried to awaken the dragon princess. One spooned quince curry between her lips. Marge snored on. One tickled her with leaves of a quince tree. Marge snored on. One pelted her with ripe quinces. Close, but no cigar. Marge snored on. Oh, look at the king and queen. And there's the poor, poor princess. Months passed. Suitors came and suitors went. They sang quince songs and baked quince pies. They told quince jokes and sighed quince sighs. They built a quince alarm clock that squirted jam and jelly. They made a quince-filled rubber ball to bounce upon her belly. But nothing worked. Yada yada, hippity hop. Marge snored on. Then, one day, a dusty young man clip-clopped into town. "What's that awful noise?" he asked a milkmaid. "What?" she shouted. "I can't hear you. I'm wearing earplugs." She took them out. "I said, what's that noise?" bellowed the man. "No need to shout," said the milkmaid. She told him Marge's sad story. There he is in green, the milkmaid. The man studied the dragon princess. She was pretty cute for a dragon. He timed her snores. He leaned into the blast, ears ringing. His hair blew back, but he puckered up. Then, smack, blink. Those dragon eyes popped open, and yada yada, hippity hop. Marge's scales melted, her tail shriveled, and she shrank. She shrank back into a human girl again. "Are you a wizard?" she asked the man. "Golly, no. I'm a prince," he said. Prince Quince, to be exact. Oh, look at them. Well, the king kept his word. And in 2 shakes of a frog's flipper, the prince and princess got hitched. This time, all the fairies in the land were invited. The kingdom whooped it up with a hey nani nani and a ha cha cha. "Do you love me?" asked the princess. "With all my heart," said the prince. "Even though I'm the best at everything?" Prince Quince smiled. "Honey, nobody's perfect." At last, the newlyweds tiptoed off to their chambers, where they whispered sweet nothings and drifted off to sleep. Later that night, something awakened the prince. Prince Quince sighed. He kissed his wife's cheek, stuffed some earplugs into his ears, and rolled over. And despite the truly royal ruckus, they lived happily and noisily ever after. The end. Now that is the story of Snoring Beauty. And I have to say, I might not be a dragon, but my husband does put up with me sometimes having to snore. So he is my Prince Quince. So I hope that he likes this story. All right, everybody. I know that was a little longer than usual, but it's Monday. I wanted to start us off on the right foot. I hope that you all have a wonderful week. Miss Jeannie will be here tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, I will have a special guest. And more Miss Kristen on Thursday. And Miss Jeannie is reading The House at Pooh Corner on Friday, the first chapter of that. Gosh, I love Winnie the Pooh. And then Saturday is Miss Kristen and Miss Julie with the sing along. So I hope you all have a great week and a great day. And I will see you on Wednesday. And remember, everybody, to please